I'd like to do something a little bit different this week and extend a hand of thanks to every single person who's been following this series. The response to the episodes of Whatthefnu Rants so far have been incredibly positive. I've been getting consistently high marks, consistent thumbs up, and consistent people coming back, which means it's by now developed an audience of its own, and there are people coming specifically for this, so that's really good. It's also really reassuring because it means that the way I think, the principles I hold, if I apply those ideals to the games I make in the future, hopefully, just hopefully, they'll turn out just a little bit better than they would have been otherwise. So thank you for that feedback. Thank you for everything that's happened so far, and look forward to way more episodes of these stupid little slideshows I put together every week in the future. Count on it.
I've talked on this channel before about the many things one has to do to survive as a smaller game reviewer. For one, I've had to rekindle my relationship with GameStop because they're the only store I know that has a rewards program of any tangible value. As a way to help expedite the process of claiming those gift cards though, I've also started playing games on Kongregate because they offer you free GameStop rewards points for logging in and earning certain achievements every day of the week. And you know what? I like that. If I didn't take something resembling a break every once in a while, I'd probably be writing a manifesto in crayon by now, and besides, it's also allowed me to get reacquainted with a lot of old Flash games I remember back from my days on Newgrounds. And one that sprung up in this week's queue was a little title that I had almost completely forgotten about, yet had an enormous impact on me when I first played it. Fearless. It's an endless runner game, whose premise is of a little girl suffering from recurring nightmares. Every night she's being chased by death through a dark forest, and it seems even the land itself is trying to force her backwards into her pursuer. Immediately, I empathized with this character. I wanted to see her become stronger, to overcome that darkness, and see the sunshine at the other end of those trees. And yet, it never happened. I played this game for hours. I had runs that lasted until the background music had to loop, and I still couldn't escape that smug little rope monstrosity. It frustrated me so much that I put the game down, completely forgot about it, and never got closure. It was only recently when I was offered points for playing it again that the memories came rushing back, and I decided that this time I was gonna figure things out. And you know what I did figure out? I shouldn't have stopped playing. Because to beat Fearless, it's not about how far you run. Instead, the goal is to earn every single in-game achievement. Once you do this, play one more time, and when death catches up to you, instead of swinging his scythe and sending you back to the realm of the conscious, he and the forest will disappear, ensuring peaceful nights from here on out. Now, you guys know that I don't get my kicks beating up small indie passion projects like this, but I'd like to make the argument that both this game and the anger and confusion it caused me way back when are perfect examples of not understanding how this medium works. There's a certain disconnect of understanding what it is I'm really supposed to be doing here. If we look at this from a purely mechanical standpoint, which I did when this game came out, you'd think your goal is to run a certain distance. When you realize that doesn't work, you might turn to the in-game dialogue and the character telling you that she can overcome the nightmare by getting stronger. So now you might think the goal is to buy all of the upgrades, and to be fair, that is a requirement for one of the medals, but that's still only a piece of the puzzle. So, with all the traditional options failing us, let's get full-on analytical and try to interpret the meaning behind this mechanical choice and how I was supposed to figure it out on my own. On the main menu, we can clearly see a forest outside this girl's home, not unlike the one in her dreams. Perhaps the nightmares are coming from a fear of nature, or some kind of trauma she suffered when she was younger, maybe an animal attack, or getting lost and separated from her family. And we can see this represented mechanically. The forest seems to have no end. The object of her fear is actively trying to kill her, and its inhabitants are all in on the plot. Foxes, wolves, bears, all kinds of carnivorous animals are all aiming to take a bite out of your ankles, and even Death himself has taken the form of a fox. And if you're still not convinced this girl has a paranoia of nature, the bunnies are capable of damaging you. Even one of the in-game medals points out how jarring of a mental contradiction this is. But speaking of the medals, look at a couple of them. specifically the Pacifist and Lover of Nature awards. These are given to you for choosing to jump over enemies instead of fight them, by choosing not to fight against nature, but rather let things be the way they are. It's an integral part of your win condition that rewards you for going out of your way to do something noble. Come to think of it, one of the upgrades in the shop is a pair of fox ears that will make those enemies peaceful towards you, further cementing that connection to nature. It seems that to overcome her fear, this girl needs to accept that it is there, but poses no real threat to her. If she's kind to the world, it will be kind in turn, and she can find the beauty in it rather than just the fear. And then there are 3 medals that you get by killing everything everywhere, so that theory just went straight out the window. Now, why am I devoting an entire video to this revelation? Why am I spending all this time and energy picking apart the symbolic meaning of a Flash title of all things? It's just a game, right? No. And you will never hear me use that phrase, ever again. I've talked about this subject in passing, but when it comes to considering our field as an artistic medium, the fact that it's interactive changes everything. Okay? A book is a finished work, a painting is a finished work, a movie is a finished work, but without a player to experience it, a game is a story that's yet to be told. This is the reason I keep ragging on Freedom Planet and its 12-minute long cutscenes, and I don't care if a community manager from Xseed themselves comes forward and tells me I'm mistaken. I will die on this freaking hill. There is infinitely more you can communicate to a player through mechanics than you ever could through any amount of text, voiceover, or pre-rendered cutscenes. Go play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons for a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This is what makes our medium special, and what separates it from every other artistic format in existence. I'm not saying there's no place for cutscenes or good visuals in games, but trying to lean on the strengths of passive art forms instead of putting your gameplay at the forefront is misguided at best and completely missing the point at worst. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I might remember. But involve me and I will understand. But being conscious of this concept is not enough. Wielding it properly is a whole nother set of challenges. This is where the concept of ludonarrative dissonance comes from. It's a fancy way of saying that you're trying to invoke an emotion with your story that does not sync up with the actual game I'm playing. It's a little hard for me to empathize with another human being when I just spent the last 10 minutes gunning down hundreds of them, is all I'm saying. This is why I prefer Broforce's, quote, story mode to Call of Duty's. This is why I gave such a scathing review to Disorder, and this is why BioShock Burial at Sea was much more universally acclaimed than BioShock Infinite. Mechanics mean things, and how you use them communicates a great deal of information to the player, whether you intended it to or not. And I tell you what, the people that understand this are going places in the coming years. They're going to craft the kinds of experiences that teachers will use as an example of how their students can improve their interactive art theory. Going back and finally beating Fearless may not have given me the ending I wanted, but it reminded me that even though my own game still isn't released yet, there are already people who are taking this mindset to heart. And that is a huge weight off my shoulders.
If there's anything I want people to take from this week's episode, it's that as a creator, you should never stop learning. You should never stop trying to experience this medium in ways that only other people could bring to the table. Because the more notches on your belt that you have to reference, the more examples you can point to of why something would work or why it wouldn't, the better off you will be in making things work better in the future. It doesn't matter what their source is or where they came from, how small and inconsequential they may be. It doesn't matter if it's free on your phone, you played it in a browser, or somebody is just handing you their demo and saying, hey, could you tear this thing apart from me? Every single one of those can teach you something. It's very rare in your career that you will ever find an experience that is 100% useless to you. And besides, we all gotta start somewhere, right?